What's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video, and today we're going to be having a look back at EA Sports' Fight Night Round 3. Now, we did this with UFC Undisputed 2009, and you guys seem to really enjoy that video, and I thought, you know what, as well as the UFC games, we'll also do the Fight Night games. But the reason I'm starting with Fight Night Round 3 is because this often tends to be people's favourites. People always say, you know, obviously people will say each one is their favourite, but the most common answer is round 3, round 4, and champion. For me, don't enjoy champion. I think it's the worst one of the Fight Night series. My personal favourite is round 4, followed by Fight Night round 3. So today we're going to be having a look back at the game as a whole.
EA Sports. It's in the game.
Don't stop, get it, won't stop, go cop, go get it back. We can rap, we can blast, cash without it. Open up the door and let the freak show. Open up the door. Come on. Walk a shotty make the crossbow. If he start acting wild, hit him with the crossbow. Levitate your mind state, bring it to a short close. Skinny to remind you what the
Because normally with these games, I'll do a live calm and leave it there. But I thought, you know what, let's look through the whole game in this video. So Fight Night Round 3 was released on the 20th of February 2006. I hadn't even turned 9 years old at that point. I was still 8 years old in 2006. This game released on the Xbox 360, the PS2, the PS3, and the PlayStation Portable, which obviously was known as the PSP. Now, this game had 6 weight classes: featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, middleweight, light heavyweight, and of course heavyweight. Now, the roster was somewhat small, but had some great names like Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Manny Pacquiao, Roberto Duran, Arturo Gatti, Ricky Hatton, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Oscar De La Hoya, Bernard Hopkins, Winky Wright, Marvin Hagler, Roy Jones Jr., James Toney, Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Floyd Patterson, and some other great names. So while the roster was solid, across 6 weight classes, that's somewhat stretched thin. The main ones, the busiest weight classes if you will, were welter and middleweight. For example, the featherweight division only had 4 fighters in this game, and you think, if that's not bad enough, light heavyweight only had 3. But obviously we need to remember the game came out in 2006. I mean, this was EA's, this was like their 5th game. I mean, they'd done Knockout Kings before this, then they had done obviously round 2, they had done Fight Night 2004, and then round 3. So, you know, we had lost some fighters between round 2 and this one, and we gained some fighters between this one and round 4. Now, if we get into the game itself and the modes, we have Get in the Ring, Play Now, ESPN Classics, Career Mode, and a few other modes like Hard Hits, Online, and Training, as well as Create a Fighter. Now, one of the more unique modes in the Fight Night series is Get in the Ring. At first, I thought it was their version of Play Now, just like, you know, jump in and play. But no, this is the very unique and never done again in a Fight Night game, first person mode. Now, when you first play this, it is very, very odd. It is something you have to get used to, and it's not easy to get used to, in my opinion. The block is, because of the very limited block system, being the fact that you have kind of 2 blocks. You've got your textbook, or you've got your just normal, you know, your kind of weird cross block thing. It is very bizarre. It seems very square on at all times, but it is brilliant. It is a fun mode to play. It's incredibly unique. I'll obviously put some gameplay up as we go. It's incredibly unique. The combinations that you throw, when you really hurt someone, you feel like you can swarm them. It is a lot of fun to fight in this first person mode. And while this is not something I'd like to see in Esports Boxing Club, if EA bring back a Fight Night series, I would love for them to bring back these unique modes like the Bare Knuckle from Champion and the first person mode from Fight Night Round 3. Now, what's funny with this mode is the game, and I'll be honest here, the game feels completely different when you play the first person mode as opposed to the Play Now. And I know you could say, well, that's obvious because you're in first person, but the punches feel different, the combinations feel different because you are seeing it from that first person angle. Also, it does feel a slightly slower paced game in the first person mode. Doesn't feel like you can be quite as busy as the Play Now, but that is partly because it is difficult to find the range in the first person mode because you're not really in first person. You know, it's not like it's you where if you guys spar in real life or you box in real life, you know your own range. It's not like that in this first person mode because obviously it is a video game. But overall, a brilliant and unique mode. And then we go to play now, which is just standard fight, which I love. I've spent a lot of time just playing this game, just having fun. As you see, we're using Muhammad Ali against James Toney here. And Ali is so much fun to use. He definitely is better in the third person, in the standard fight night, standard boxing or combat sports game as a whole. Camera angle here, just using the jab straight, putting some combinations together. Really just, as a whole, feels like a great game. Now through any of the fights, doesn't matter first person or not, you have corner mini games, which personally I'm not a fan of these type of mini games. I don't like corner mini games whatsoever, but you can either auto heal or you can manual heal. Now in this gameplay I didn't have any bad cuts because it's not easy to get like a big slash above your eyebrow unless you're like using Arturo Gatti and you just let the AI beat you up. But as you see, you know, you have a little I don't know, that cold bit of metal on your cheek to reduce the swelling and stuff. It is fun, but it does become boring after a while, and most of the time I just auto heal. I'm not too bothered about it. It's not something that I'm a fan on personally. I know a lot of people are, but for me, it's not something that I enjoy. If I had to have a mini game, I'd go with round 4, which are just boosting stats. But other than that, I'm not a huge fan on these type of mini games. Then another very unique mode is ESPN Classics, which a lot of games back in the day actually did, especially like UFC and Fight Night games, which is pretty much what it says on the tin. It's classic fights that you can recreate or change the outcome of. You get a little cutscene, for example, of this Ali and Frazier one, and as you see, it's classic fights that we all know and love. Gatti Ward, things like that, you know, Hagler, Sugar Ray Leonard, things like that. So it is brilliant, but this is the kind of mode that would be left in the dark if they released it now. This is probably not a mode that people would play unless they're trophy hunters or 100%ers. I don't see this being a mode that people are going to get on and be like, oh yes, let me play the ESPN Classics, because you just do play now. Obviously it does change like the hue of the camera. We see a slightly darker camera here because obviously it's kind of recreating that era that these guys fought in. But other than that, personally for me, the ESPN Classics thing is not something that would be used today, but a very, very cool feature for 2006.
Most of his opponents kill the body and the head will die.
Things are about to get underway here in round 1.
Now the career mode is fun. You start off in the amateurs, you have, I think, 5 or 6 amateur fights. You have to win the amateur title. Then once you've won the amateur title, you go pro, and you go through a series of fights, 5 or 6 fights, and you gain something each one, a new level of popularity, maybe a sponsorship, maybe a title fight, maybe a super fight, and so on and so forth. The career mode is really good. The character creation is relatively simple, but works well. It's got small training mini games, which you can also auto or do manually, which are kind of fun. The career I'm doing at the minute on stream, I'm autoing all of the mini games. But I have done another career on the channel before where I've manually done them, so they are good fun. And like I said, other game modes like hard hits, which I'm not a fan on, which is just based on knockdowns, as well as online, which doesn't exist anymore, and training, which is just obviously learning the game. Now the game as a whole, for 2006, it holds up well to this day. If they put it onto the current gen consoles, people would enjoy it. The biggest issue with this, the thing I hate the most about this game, is the counter block window. So when you, say if someone throws a hook at the side of your head and you block and pull your stick in that direction, it will block counter, but it will leave you open, or the person throwing the hook, for, I'm not joking, for a good 5 to 10 seconds, at least that's what it feels like, and you will get pieced up. So sometimes that does stop interesting gameplay, because you'll be having a good trading, and the second that counter gets thrown, you're left wide open for ages, and then you may throw one more shot and they may just do it again. So that's probably the one thing I dislike the most about this game. Overall, the controls feel nice. That, you know, for the game, it feels quick to respond to what you press. Gameplay is definitely fun. It's a unique take on the boxing Fight Night series for sure. They didn't replicate this style of again. This game always reminds me of Gritty. That's the way I always describe Fight Night Round 3 as Gritty. And it definitely done a good job, and it's definitely good fun. And now this is a game that I've obviously played a lot through recording videos, doing careers on streams. And I've never really become bored of it. I've always had a lot of fun with Fight Night Round 3 and Fight Night Round 4, but this is a great game, and I recommend, as I did with UFC Undisputed 2009, if you have a PS3 or an Xbox 360 or a PS2 or a classic Xbox, and you have a pre-owned game store in your town, highly recommend picking this up for a couple of quid. It is an awesome, awesome game. You'll have tons of fun on it. You could probably easily put a good 60 hours into this before you've experienced everything, which it is pretty impressive for a game that came out in 2006. But as always, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe down below. I hope this was enjoyable. I hope a little, blast from the past kind of thing. Definitely good fun to make this video. And yeah, let me know what game you want me to have a look back at next. I may jump all the way back to Fight Night 2004 or do the UFC Undisputed 2010 game. We'll have to see. But don't forget, like I said, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.